with our healthcare professionals from PAM Rehabilitation Hospital here in Victoria, PAM Health Rehabilitation Hospital. We're joined by Ashley and Scarlett. And we're switching topics. We were talking about arthritis and joint pain, but now we're switching gears to strategies in coping with the cold, especially if you're elderly.
Yes. Yeah. So a lot of times, we talk about arthritis and joint pain, and of course, the majority of our elderly population are experiencing that to some extent. Maybe it is pain, maybe it's just, I don't like the cold, it's not being able to have access to different resources because things are shut down right now or people aren't out and about. So when we talk about with the elderly, we also need to think about things such that Scarlett already mentioned, such as like layering clothing and staying warm, right? Putting on clothing that is easy to manage. So sometimes when we have the arthritis or our mobility has changed, putting on these heavy layers can be actually really difficult, right? So we need to be mindful of finding the clothes that maybe are elastic waistband, stay away from the zippers and the buttons that are going to be harder to manage. Yeah. Maybe a pullover sweater is not as easy, so a nice cardigan or jacket sweater with big zippers and buttons that are easier to manage, or Velcro, so that you can layer and stay warm inside. A lot of times folks have space heaters in their homes, and that can be really cozy, but also a really huge fire risk, right? Yes. Especially if there's clutter or newspapers or magazines or anything that's close to the space heaters that could cause for fire. If there's pets in the home, that might bump the space heaters into things around. So when you are using a space heater, you want it to be in an open area. And also, you want it to be out of your pathway, right? So if you're walking from your favorite chair to the toilet or to the kitchen or to your room, you want to make sure those pathways are clear. So don't put it right in the middle of where you need to walk. The other thing that folks like to use, right, are heating pads or electric blankets, and they feel so good.
They do.
But we have to be careful, right? Because if, especially if they're an older blanket or pad that, the electric cords haven't been checked, anything over 10 years old really needs to be double checked, and we need to make sure that there's no fraying of the cords. Also, I wouldn't buy a secondhand electric blanket or heating pad. You don't know how old it is or what quality it is, and it could be a fire hazard, or it could get too hot and burn you. One of the things that most of the newer models now have, like a safety switch where they're only on for so much time and then they turn off, which is really good, so they're not on for a prolonged time. And with our elderly, the skin integrity is compromised, right? We have thinner skin, our blood circulation is usually slower in the summertime, or excuse me, the winter time. So we are cold because of that. But if we have these things on for too long, we could actually burn ourselves, right? So we don't want to have them on for prolonged periods of time. If you have diabetes, or if you know that you have circulation issues, maybe numbness in your hands and feet, or you have any type of skin issue like an open wound or a rash, you don't want to use a heating pad or a heating blanket on that, because you're not going to get the sensation you need to know if it's too hot.
Wow, a lot of really important safety tips, and we're going to come right back right after this break. Don't go anywhere. More Community Crossroads straight ahead. And now it's time for our viewer poll review. Earlier this month, we asked you, does Jeannie Morrison's endorsement affect your vote for Texas House District 30? 27% of you said yes, and 73% of you said no. We also asked, how important is it for the United States to land on the moon again? 21% of you said very important, 30% of you said somewhat important, and 49% of you said not important. Thank you for taking part in our viewer polls. And now we continue to learn about some safety tips from two healthcare professionals from PAM Health Rehabilitation Hospital of Victoria, Ashley and Scarlett. I'm learning so much from y'all today.
Great, thanks for having us. I think these topics are really important. I know a lot of our older adult population here in the Crossroads area are watching this episode, so we're so glad to be able to get some of this information out.
They're our best viewers.
Yes. So a couple of other things that we wanted to hit on for safety concerns, especially in the cold weather, is hydration. Okay, so this of various things come into factor here. One is we don't want to get up and move to go fill up our water cups, and so we're not moving as much, right? So we need to make sure we're staying hydrated. You know, get your glasses of water, or get your thermos.
Our big Stanley
yes,
cups that we got for Christmas.
Set some goals for the day.
Yes, yeah, put them in areas that you're going to be spending the most time, and because that not only helps with your health, right, but also it helps with the joint movement. Again, we were talking about the fluid in the joint. Right? So we have to stay hydrated for that. So for folks that are dealing with arthritis. Also, you know, a lot of older adults don't want to drink water because they don't want to have to get up to go to the bathroom. Let's be honest. So that is a really important thing that we can't slack on, right? We have to stay hydrated for our health, and also for when we're thinking about the mobility and everything of our joints. So it's really important. Also nutrition, you know, again, it's not as easy to get up and get out of the house to go grocery shopping right now because of the cold weather. So if you do have access to the delivery services, take advantage of them. If you have a family or neighbor that can help you get your groceries, take advantage. They want to help, let them help, right? Because it is really important to stay with a good nutritious diet, you know, and not just eat all the Christmas candy that's left over, right? So, so try to get your veggies in and your proteins and stay healthy in that regard as well.
Does it help to stay away from carbs in that regard?
For the most part, I would say that's a general rule of thumb, the sugars, right? Stay away from the sugars. You know, and depending on your health conditions, you know, of whether or not you should stay away from the carbs and be more strict with that, you can discuss it with your doctor, but it's pretty safe to stay away from the sugars. With the other things that I just wanted to mention with for the older adults, when it comes to other things to do around the house, like washing dishes, getting your trash taken out, things like that. For going back to the arthritis pain, actually washing dishes is really good.
Oh, because
the warm water. You can soak your hands in the water, get the dishes washed at the same time. 2 birds, 1 stone. It's great. So so don't think of it as a chore anymore. Think of it as hand therapy.
I have to talk myself into it.
I know. I do too. I'm not going to lie. But it is actually really good for those arthritic hands.
Well, I just want to give y'all a big thank you for your insight, your time, and all of these tips that are going to hopefully contribute to a better lifestyle for our viewers.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Well, that does it for this week's show. Have a safe weekend and stay warm.